It is time for part 2 of the 2024 trade deadline video. We already did part 1 and now part 2 is finally here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping a like down below and subscribing to my YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Now let's get into the video. We are starting off this video with a 3-team deal involving the Dodgers, Cardinals, and White Sox, with the Dodgers getting Tommy Edman from the Cardinals and Michael Kopech from the White Sox, along with Oliver Gonzalez. The Cardinals got Eric Fedde and Tommy Pham from the White Sox, and then the White Sox got 3 prospects, with the big one being Miguel Vargas from the Dodgers. Starting with the Dodgers, the obvious winners of this deal is they got Tommy Edman, who did not play at all for the Cardinals last year due to a sprained wrist, so he did not make his Dodgers debut until August 19th of last year, but he was pretty good for the Dodgers in 37 games played. He had a OPS plus at 99, so basically a league average hitter, but he was very good in the playoffs, with an 862 OPS in 16 games, along with winning NLCS MVP. The Dodgers also received Michael Kopech in this deal from the White Sox, who, after being a starting pitcher in 2022 and 2023, he was transitioned into a reliever by Chicago last year. He was okay for the White Sox with a 4.74 ERA and 9 saves in 43 appearances, but after going to the Dodgers, he was awesome, with his ERA going all the way down to 1.13 and him recording 11 strikeouts per 9 innings to just 4 walks per 9. The Dodgers also received Oliver Gonzalez, an unranked prospect who is an 18-year-old right-handed pitcher still in rookie ball. The Cardinals got 2 guys from the White Sox, being Eric Fedde and Tommy Pham. Fedde spent the 2023 season pitching for the NC Dinos in the Korean Baseball League, and he not only won the Choi Dong-hwan Award, which is the KBO's version of the Cy Young, he also won the league MVP as a starting pitcher. Because of this, the White Sox decided to sign him to a 2-year, $15 million contract. After the trade, he made 10 starts for St. Louis, posting a 3.72 ERA. He's since been DFA'd by the Cardinals. He made a few appearances for the Braves, and then he was dropped by them as well. The Cardinals also got Tommy Pham, a former Cardinal, who played there from 2014 until midway through the 2018 season. After this trade, he played 23 games and only hit .206, causing the Cardinals to DFA him. However, he did have one memorable moment, which was when he hit a grand slam on his first day back in St. Louis. The White Sox were the 3rd team involved in this deal, and they got 3 prospects, 3 infielders to be exact: Miguel Vargas, Gerald Perez, and Alexander Albertus. Vargas was the big piece here for the Sox, as he is a former top prospect for the Dodgers, and after this deal, he did not hit well for a very bad White Sox team, as he hit just 4 points over the Mendoza line in 42 games. The White Sox also received middle infielder Gerald Perez, who is currently the 18th ranked prospect in their system. He's currently hitting .218 with a 735 OPS in 78 games at High A this year. The last player involved in this deal is Alexander Albertus, who is currently the 14th ranked prospect for the White Sox. The 20-year-old third baseman is still in rookie ball, where he has a 964 OPS this year. Finally, after almost 4 minutes, we are talking about a different trade other than that 3-team one. That 3-team trade took up a full page and a half of my script for this video, but now we have Justin Turner, who was 39 at the time of this deal, and he was traded from the Blue Jays to the Mariners for R.J. Schreck, an outfield prospect. Turner was fairly good down the stretch, with a .264 average and 766 OPS in 48 games in his 39-year-old season. The return player in this deal was outfield prospect R.J. Schreck, who is currently the 18th ranked prospect in the Blue Jays system, and he spent most of his time at AA this year, but has seen some time at all levels of the minor leagues except for High A, including a little stint in rookie ball. The next trade we have is the Cleveland Guardians trading for Lane Thomas from the Washington Nationals for 3 prospects. Thomas went from an above-average bat with the Nationals to a below-average bat with the Guardians in 53 games played after the deal. However, he did hit 7 home runs for the Guardians down the stretch, including a couple in the postseason. In return, the Nationals got back Alex Clemmie, a left-handed pitching prospect who is currently at high A. This year in 16 starts, he has a 3.07 ERA with 94 strikeouts. They also got Rafael Ramirez Jr., the son of former Braves and Astros infielder Rafael Ramirez Sr. Ramirez Jr., an unranked prospect, suffered an injury in August of last year, which I can't find what it is anywhere, but it must be pretty significant because he was sent on a rehab assignment just under a month ago, and he still hasn't returned from that rehab assignment yet. However, he has played 8 games in rookie ball on the rehab assignment and is hitting .286 there. The final player in this deal is Jose Tena, who is currently in AAA but has 85 big league games for the Nationals since the trade, and he has a .262 batting average and a .662 OPS. The next trade is Yusei Kikuchi being traded from the Blue Jays to the Astros for 3 prospects. Kikuchi was not having a great year for the Blue Jays last year leading up to this trade with an ERA north of 4, but after that trade, he improved significantly, posting a 2.7 ERA in 60 innings down the stretch for the Astros. The Blue Jays got back Jake Bloss, a right-handed pitcher who's currently at AAA and is currently their number 5 prospect. Bloss has started 3 games for the Astros last year in the majors, but to no success, so he's been in the minors all of this year for the Blue Jays. He made 6 starts at the beginning of the year, pitching to an ERA north of 6, but then he went down in May with Tommy John surgery and will be out for the remainder of this year and part of next season as well. The Blue Jays also got back Will Wagner, the son of Hall of Famer Billy Wagner, a utility man who played 22 games for the Blue Jays after the trade, to decent success as he hit .305 with a .778 OPS, and since he's been traded to the San Diego Padres. They also received Joey Loperfido, another utility man who played 43 games down the stretch for Toronto and hit below the Mendoza line. Next up is Frankie Montas being traded from the Reds to the Brewers for Joey Wiemer, Jacob Junis, and cash. Montas did not have the best year last year, as in 19 starts with Cincinnati, he posted a .501 ERA, and he was a bit better for the Brewers, pitching to a .455 ERA. However, this was a big win for Montas as it was his first full season in a while. As for the return, Joey Wiemer only played 2 games for the Reds in the second half last year, and he's since been traded to the Miami Marlins. As for Jacob Junis, he was really good for the Reds in 14 games last year with a 2.85 ERA after the trade, and he's now on the Cleveland Guardians. The next trade is the Braves reuniting with an old friend, with Jorge Soler being reacquired from the Giants, in addition to righty Luke Jackson in exchange for left-handed pitcher Tyler Matzek and infield prospect Sabin Ceballos. Soler was, of course, a huge part of the Braves team that won the World Series in 2021, as he won World Series MVP honors that year. Now, the Braves decided to bring him back as they pushed for the playoffs again. Last year, after the trade, Soler played 49 games for the Braves, hitting .243 with 9 home runs, which gave him an .849 OPS, making him 33% better than a league average hitter. The Braves also received Luke Jackson, another member of the 2021 World Series team, and after this trade, Jackson made 16 appearances down the stretch for the Braves, posting a .45 ERA in 18 innings pitched. In exchange for getting 2 former champions, the Braves also traded one with Tyler Matzek, who was hurt at the time of this trade, and he did not play a single game for the Giants before going to the New York Yankees. The Braves also gave up Sabin Ceballos, an unranked prospect who has a .705 OPS in AA for the Giants this year. Now we get into deadline day, and the first trade of the trade deadline day is Mark Leiter Jr. being traded to the Yankees in exchange for 2 prospects from the Chicago Cubs. Leiter was acquired to bolster the Yankees' bullpen down the stretch, and he pitched 21 games for the Yanks after the trade, pitching to a 4.98 ERA. He also appeared in 6 postseason games, giving up 1 earned run in 5.1 innings pitched. In return, the Cubs received Ben Coles, an infielder, who this year at AAA Iowa has a .228 average with 7 home runs for a .667 OPS. He is currently the Cubs' number 23 prospect, and the Cubs also received Jack Neely, a right-handed pitcher who is currently at AAA as well. This year in 24 relief appearances, he has a .6.91 ERA. He made his MLB debut last year for the Cubs, giving up 6 runs in 6 innings, and he has been yet to be called up to the Major League club this year. The next trade we are going to talk about is the Orioles acquiring left-handed starting pitcher Trevor Rogers from the Marlins for Connor Norby and Kyle Stowers. At the time of this trade, the Orioles stood a half game ahead of the Yankees in first place in the AL East, and so this was a solid move to bolster their starting rotation led by Corbin Burnes. However, Rogers did not pan out how the Orioles wanted him to last year, as he only started 4 games for the O's after the trade, and in those 4 games pitched, he gave up 15 runs in only 19 innings, causing the Orioles to send him down to the minors. He has been pitching a bit better as of late, but it will remain to be seen who the winner of this trade will be in the long run. But for now, that appears to be the Marlins, as they received Connor Norby, who this year has become almost an everyday player at third base. Last year, after the swap, he hit .247 with a 760 OPS and 107 OPS plus for the Marlins in 36 games. However, Kyle Stowers has been the big win in this trade for the Marlins. After the trade last year, he hit only 186 with a 556 OPS. However, this year, he emerged as an all-star and has been 62% better than league average at the plate, and he was a part of the swing-off in the all-star game, and that was pretty fun. Next, we have Josh Bell going to the Diamondbacks for a player to be named later or cash. At this point in the year, Christian Walker was hurt, so the Diamondbacks desperately needed a first baseman to replace him for their playoff push. Bell was solid down the stretch for the D-backs as he hit .279 with a 796 OPS and 120 OPS plus in 41 games. However, the D-backs ended up missing the playoffs, as even though they had the same record as the Mets and the Braves, they lost the tiebreaker to both of those teams. Next is the Kansas City Royals receiving Lucas Erceg from the A's. I'm sure not many people expected the Royals to be 10 games over 500 and holding the third wildcard spot at this point in the year, but they were contenders for the first time in a while, led by Bobby Witt Jr., their star young shortstop. So they decided to pick up Erceg to boost their bullpen quality, and he was really good for them, posting up a 2.88 ERA in 23 appearances for the Royals, and he also made 5 appearances in the playoffs, allowing only 2 earned runs. In return, the A's received right-handed pitcher Mason Barnett, who is currently their 7th-ranked prospect. This year at AAA in 19 starts and 2 relief appearances, Barnett has a 5.67 ERA in 100 innings. He also has 99 strikeouts to just 54 walks on the year. They also received Will Klein, who was a rookie last year with the Royals. After being dealt, he pitched 3 games for the A's, but to no success, as he gave up 5 runs and an inning and 2/3. The A's also received outfielder Jared Dickey, an unranked prospect who has a 755 OPS at AA this year. Next is yet another trade involving the Oakland Athletics, and it is the New York Mets acquiring a starting pitcher in right-handed Paul Blackburn. Blackburn was an all-star in 2022, and after this trade, he started 5 games for the Mets, pitching to a 5.81 ERA before going down for the rest of the season with a spinal fluid leak. He's since been released by the Mets and picked up by the New York Yankees. The A's received righty Cade Morris, who is currently the A's 12th-ranked prospect, and last year after the trade, he started in High A, and after 7 starts, he was bumped up to AAA, where he made 1 start and 1 relief appearance. This year, he is still at AAA. Next, we have the Detroit Tigers trading Andrew Chafin to the Rangers. At this point in the year, the Tigers will still 5 games under 500 and 7.5 games out of the wild card, so they were sellers at this deadline, as they also made the final move of the trade deadline, which we'll talk about a little bit later. After this trade, Chafin made 21 appearances for the Rangers, pitching to a 4.919 ERA. However, the Rangers did end up missing the playoffs. In return, the Tigers received 2 unranked starting pitching prospects, Joseph Montalvo and Chase Lee. Montalvo is in AA this year and has a 4.5 ERA, and Lee, who made his MLB debut this year and is having a decent rookie year for the Tigers, he has appeared in 32 games thus far, and he has a 4.10 ERA. Next is the Mets and the Marlins making a move inside their division, with Huascar Brazoban being traded to New York for outfield and third base prospect Wilfredo Lara. Brazoban was not very good down the stretch for the Mets, as he pitched to a 5.14 ERA in 19 appearances. He's still with the Mets, but he is currently in AAA. In return, the Marlins got prospect Wilfredo Lara, who this year has spent most of his time at High A, where in 52 games he's hitting 178 with a 582 OPS. The next trade we are going to talk about is Gregory Soto being traded from the Phillies to the Orioles. Soto would also be traded at this year's deadline to the Mets, but first he had to be traded out of the NL East before he could be traded back in. Soto was a two-time All-Star with the Tigers, but his time in Philadelphia did not go as well. Soto pitched 23 games for the Orioles down the stretch after the trade, but he was not very good, as he had an ERA north of 5. He made one playoff appearance in the wild card and only pitched 2/3 of an inning scoreless. Seth Johnson went back to the Phillies in this deal, and in his one start for the Phillies last year in his major league debut, he gave up 9 runs in 2 1/3 innings, causing him to be sent back down to the minors. This year, he's pitched out of the bullpen a little bit for the Phils, as he has a 4.26 ERA in 12 2/3 innings. The Phillies also got Moises Chas, who is their number 8 prospect right now. This year at AA, he's only pitched 6 games the whole year and has a 3.24 ERA in those 6 starts. Next up, we have a big trade, and it's our second to last one of the video. It is Tanner Scott and Brian Hoeing being traded from the Marlins to the Padres for Robbie Snelling, Adam Mazer, Graham Pauley, and Jay Beashears. Scott was the biggest reliever on the market, as he was having a great year with the Marlins up to this point, posting up a 1.18 ERA in 45 2/3 inning with Miami and making an all-star team. He was still good for the Padres down the stretch, as he pitched to a 2.73 ERA in 26 1/3 innings. He also pitched 4 1/3 scoreless innings in the postseason for the Padres as well. The Padres also got righty Brian Hoeing, who pitched 18 games down the stretch for the Padres, and he was a really good reliever for them, as he posted a 1.52 ERA, but the pressure of the postseason caught up to him, as in 3 relief appearances in the playoffs, he pitched 2 2/3 innings, giving up 3 runs and 2 homers. In return, the Marlins got lefty Robbie Snelling, who is currently their 4th-ranked prospect, and this year he started 23 games, 14 of them for AA and 9 of them for AAA, and so far across the 2 levels, he has a 2.66 ERA in 125 innings. The Marlins also got Adam Mazer, who didn't pitch for them after the trade last year, and he has also spent a lot of time in the minors this year, as he's only made 3 appearances with the big league club, but he is their 15th-ranked prospect. The Marlins also got Graham Pauley, who has become an everyday player for the Marlins this year, hitting .229 with 4 home runs and 11 RBIs, playing mostly third base, but with a little bit of first and center field sprinkled in there. The final piece they got was Jay Beashears, an unranked prospect who just got called up to AA and is hitting .202 this year across the minors. Now we get to the final trade of the video. This one feels like a long time coming with these 2 parts, but the final trade we are going to talk about is the final trade of the trade deadline as a whole. This one happened within the last minute of the deadline, and it is Jack Flaherty being traded from the Tigers to the Dodgers. At this point in the season, as I mentioned before, everyone thought the Tigers were out of it, including their own front office, causing them to sell off Flaherty, who was having a really good year at the time. After he went to the Dodgers, he made 10 starts down the stretch, pitching to a 3.58 ERA, and then he also made 5 starts in the playoffs, where he gave up 18 runs in 22 innings, so he wasn't very good, but at the end of the day, he was still able to help the Dodgers win the World Series. In return, the Tigers got catcher and first base prospect Thayron Lorenzo, the number 5 prospect in their system, as he spent the year at High A last year. This year he is in AA, and this year in 84 games, he's hitting .207 with 10 home runs and a 650 OPS. And then the other guy the Tigers got is Trey Sweeney, who after the trade, he was called up by the Tigers and had a 642 OPS last year. And then he also got 26 plate appearances in the postseason, going 2 for 22 with 3 walks. This year, he has been more or less a starter for this team, but he's not performed very well as he's hitting only 204 with a 569 OPS. All in all, the Tigers definitely won this trade, though, as even though he's not been good this year, they were able to get back Jack Flaherty this offseason, along with getting a couple assets from that very powerful Dodgers system. So there it is, part 2 of the 2024 trade deadline recap. Sorry it took so long, but I was finally able to get it out for you guys. So if you liked the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing down below. I would greatly appreciate it. Check out Around the Diamond Designs. There are great designs over there. Card designs, jersey designs, hat designs, all of that. The link is in my channel description. And also follow me on Instagram at Around the Diamond 2. I post on there multiple times a week. There's been a lot of prospect news with guys being called up, so I have cards for all of them on there. Anytime someone hits a major milestone, they get a card that's posted on the Instagram. So that link is also in my channel description. So thank you everyone so much for watching again. I will see you in the next video. Peace.